In this video, we'll see how we can pass the record ID from carTile to the carCard component. So if I go to our existing app that we are building, right now we are using a hard-coded record ID here through which we are loading the data. But now in our actual application, what we want is whenever I click on a particular car and that particular car record ID should come to this component, and this component will call the data for that particular record ID. So let's go to our VS Code. And here, if we look into our carTile, here we have our record ID of each tile basically, and the carTile is placed inside the carTile list. We can publish the data directly from carTile itself, but it's always recommend to publish the data from your parent. And here why it's recommend, because here we already have lightning message service imported, everything is available. So let's do first thing, let's pass the record ID from carTile to the carTile list. And for that, what we're going to do is, we'll say whenever I click on this tile, so the div is the main wrapper of our tile. We'll say on click, I'll call handle click. I'll create a method handle click. So whenever somebody click anywhere in this tile or in this component, it will call this method handle click. And in JS, we are going to create that method, and we're going to dispatch an event, and the event is a custom event. To create that, we're going to use new custom event, and the event name I'm going to give the selected, and we're going to pass the car ID, that is basically our record ID. So to pass that, we have to use a property detail, and here I can directly pass this dot car dot ID. Car is receiving the data from the parent, and each data has the record ID, basically that is ID. And now whenever I'll click, this method gets called and it will dispatch an event selected. So let's go to our carTile list and let's catch that event. And to catch that event, we have to go to the carTile component, and here what we're gonna do, we'll say on selected, that's our method name, that's our event name basically that we are dispatching selected. And here we'll say handle car selected, and now we're going to create this method in our JS. And in JS, what we're going to do, we'll create method below this handle filter change method, and it will receive an event. And what we can do, I'll say console.log event.detail and print that ID, whichever tile we are clicking. So let's give a name for the console. We'll say cars selected car ID. We can say selected car ID. So let's deploy both component basically. So let's see whether we on click of a tile we are getting the car ID or not. So once we have the car ID available, here we'll use our message channel. So now it's deployed. Let's go to our app, refresh the page, and now it's refreshed. Let's go to inspect and go to console, and let's clear the console and let's click on any tile. So if I select first Ford EcoSport, it gives me an ID ends with PAAR. Let's click on the Ford Endeavor, it gives me an ID QAR. So now independent IDs are coming for the respective record, and that's what we want. So now successfully we are getting the IDs from our carTile to the carTile list. Now we have to dispatch these ID to our carCard component, and for this we are going to create another message channel. So let's go and create that. So let's go to the message channel folder and let's create another message channel here, and this time we'll give this name as car selected dot message channel hyphen meta.xml. So I'm using a separate message channel just to tell you guys, like, you can create as many as message channel you want, so there is no restriction on it. I created a selected car message channel. I'll copy the same description to the car selected message channel, and here I'll say this event is fire when car is selected, and is exposed is false because we are not connecting with Aura and VS Force. You can see here selected car ID, and here the field name we're gonna use here is car ID, and this should be car selected. That's our basically the message channel name as well. So now our message channel is ready. So our next step is to use this message channel in our tile list, through which we're going to publish our record ID. So let's go to the top and let's import our car selected message channel. The car underscore selected message, and this gonna come from car selected underscore C. So now our message channel is available, and from this tile I'm going to publish this time the message. So let's import the publish as well. So now I'm importing the publish method, and here we already have the context available because in the previous videos we already set up this context for the car filtered message channel. So let's go to our method that we are calling when we click on a tile. So here what we're going to do is we're going to publish this. So we'll say as soon as you receive an event, publish it immediately. The first parameter is message context, second is your message channel name. So we are passing the message this time to a channel car selected message, and the message that we want to pass is car ID. Car ID is our field name here, so this name should be correct, car ID, and the ID that we want to pass is the event.detail that we are consoling here. So now this event will publish, and now we have to listen this event, basically subscribe this event. So let's go to our carCard, who gonna listen this, and here in carCard we first going to import our message channel, and we can copy the reference from the carTile list directly. Copy this, go to carcard.js, and here we'll put the events lightning message service. So let's import our car selected message channel. Apart from that, we need to import the subscribe method as well as the message context. So first import subscribe, then we need message context, and both we can import from lightning message service. So now we have our adapter, that is message context, and the method subscribe. So let's first call this adapter message context. So here what we can do on the top, we'll simply say load context for LMS, and here we're going to call this using a wires, and we'll pass the adapter, and make sure the wire is imported. If it's not, just import it in the top, and then we'll use wire as a property, and we'll give the property name as message context with M small. So now our message context is available. Now we have to subscribe the message channel, that is car selected message, and to subscribe on load, what we can do is we can use connected callback, and in this we'll say this dot subscribe handler, and let's create the handler outside. And once our component load, it will call our method subscribe handler. Here we're going to write a subscription logic, so we'll call the subscribe method. We'll say the context is this dot message context, then our message channel name or reference basically. So our reference is car selected message. We'll pass this car selected message here. Then it will take the callback that will listen to our message, so we'll give a arrow function here, and then we'll call our method this dot and car selected. We are calling a method handle car selected, and that we are passing the message that we are receiving. And now let's create this method, and this method will receive the car ID. Basically the message is nothing, it's a car ID. And here what we're gonna do, we'll say this dot record ID equal to car ID. So now we are storing it into the record ID, and here we can remove our static record ID. And one more thing that I want to do here is I'll create another property top. I'll call it as subscription reference for car selected, and I'll give this property name is car selection subscription. And in this I'm going to store the reference of my subscribe method, and I'm going to call the unsubscribe method from the message service. And what I want is when my component gets go away from the DOM, or it's no longer available in the page, it should cancel the message service. And to cancel that, what we can do is we can go down and call the lifecycle hook, another lifecycle hook that is disconnected callback, which gets called whenever your component is removing from the DOM. And inside this I'm going to call a method this dot unsubscribe, or we can directly call unsubscribe here as well, and we'll pass the reference of the subscription that we are storing. And after that we can make this null, this property. So this is a better practice. Whenever you subscribe to a message channel, you always add unsubscription in your disconnected callback as well. And I remember in our previous video where we were setting up our message channel, we forgot to do the unsubscribe, so we can copy this and let's go to our filter message quickly. Filter card, here we subscribe not to the filter card, to the carTile list, and here we subscribe handler here, but we forgot to add this disconnected callback, so we can paste the disconnected callback. And the unsubscribe, we have to pass the reference of the subscription, that is car filter subscription, and we can make that property null. So let's go back to our main agenda. That is, now let me repeat quickly if we lost our agenda. We start passing the ID of the record from the carTile. It will dispatch an event selected. Our carTile list component will receive that event, and it call the handle car selected method. And then in the JS, that method gets called and it will publish car ID to a car selected message channel. So the car selected message channel is available in our carCard, and on load we are subscribing that message channel car selected, and it will receive the message, and the message is nothing, it's a car ID. And once the car ID is available, it will map to the record ID. And we already removed the hard-coded record ID. And now in our HTML, one more thing we're going to do is in the card what we're going to do, we'll say load this details only if, let's say template, if to load these details when the record ID is available. Let's move this detail inside the record ID, and here what we can do is we can use the other condition, and we'll say if false. If means when record ID is not available, we'll say right now we'll say select the car to see details, and now car record ID comes immediately. Record IDs will be available. This will load and it will call the lightning record view form and it will fetch the details. So let's deploy our message channel and all the component, and to deploy everything you do the right click on the default folder and say deploy source to work. So now the page is refreshed. Now you can see our placeholder is coming. Select a car to see details because right now there is no record ID available, and let's click on any tile. I'll click here. Now you see few details are loading, but it's not loading the correct details. So let's see what can be the issue. Let's see the console first, whether there any error. No. And what we can do here is we can quickly put the console, the car ID, and see what it is coming here, whether this method is getting called or not. So let's put the console to car.js, and that's the subscription that gets receive the data once they subscribe, uh, once the carTile publish the record ID. So let's deploy this. So let's refresh the page, and now I'll clear the console first. Now I click on a tile, and now I got the issue. We are getting an object actually, and under that object we have a car ID. So what we can do here is we can come back and change this to message. Message is an object, and we can say from message take the car ID. So that's how you debug. We can debug with a breakpoint as well, but I want to show you what is the issue. That's why I follow this approach. Go and deploy this again. So now it's deployed. Let's refresh the page. Let me close the console and let me hit forward Figo, and now it's loading the data correctly. Now it's showing the category correctly, make and the photo as well. If I select Honda City, it will give me the detail of Honda City. If I select Ford EcoSport, it gives me Ford EcoSport. If I select Renault, it will give me the Renault details. So now our carCard is working fine. Now we have few more things to add in it. If I go back to our working application and if I refresh the page, right now the placeholder that we are showing in the carCard is with the icon, and then the text is aligned properly. But if you look at our placeholder, it's not looking correct. We are just showing some message simply. So we have to create that scenario. And the other thing, like whenever we search something, suppose I enter something gibberish, when there is no car available, there should be a proper message available. So these two scenarios we're going to handle in the next video. So I'll see you in the next video.